I'm CJ, and welcome to the Curiosity Gap podcast. In this episode, we're having a conversation with Jason Beutler, who works in creating AI automations for companies. So that way, people can free up their time to move the business forward and really focus in on strategic thinking. We're going to talk about the fear surrounding AI automations and why we shouldn't be afraid of it. I hope you find value in this episode. Enjoy. Well, thank you, Jason, for joining me on this episode. And today we're just going to kind of talk about specifically AI automation. Yeah, I mean, you're very familiar with this. You have a whole company built around this. So first off, why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself, who you are, what you do, and obviously like how you got into AI automation and your journey with that.
Yeah, well, thanks, CJ. I'm really looking forward to this. Appreciate you having me on. And this is just something fun to talk about. There's a lot of neat stuff happening here. So, my name is Jason Butler. I'm the CEO of RoboSource. We're a company that, we set out to help people do meaningful, impactful work.
Mhm.
And so, what we mean by that is, I feel like most people don't wake up in the morning and think, man, I can't wait to put numbers into an Excel spreadsheet, but instead they're thinking, how can I impact my business? How can I impact the people around me? How can I make a difference in my day? And so our belief is, hey, if we can use and leverage artificial intelligence to eliminate some of that mundane repetitive stuff, we can free people up to do the meaningful, impactful, strategic work that actually drives business in real life. So that's our vision, that's our passion. As a result, we built a platform. We are, at the cutting edge of AI. So we have built an agentic platform that uses AI agents to help people get their work done. The way we go to market is actually through consulting partners. So if you look at the kind of the breadth of AI projects that have happened across the marketplace today, there are stats that greater than 80%, some people are even saying more than 90% of AI projects and AI implementations are failing
Mhm.
in businesses. And the reason isn't the technology. The reason is that it's change management. It's getting people to think about the new way that work needs to be done. And so we go to market actually by saying, hey, instead of bringing in a bunch of technical people to try and solve the problem, we work with industry consultants that have been around for decades that actually know how the vertical industry works. So we're talking HR, manufacturing, business strategy, like people who know how their industry works. We partner with them and they can go to market and help actually solve the business problems. And we're their technical backing to help get that out the door.
Yeah, that's really nice. So it sounds like you guys are involved in a lot of different fields, um, with, HR and business strategy and things
Yeah.
like that. So how has your business been impacted, or how have you learned how to manage so many different fields of study? And like, do you ever feel overwhelmed with too much information or not understanding one field better than another, or how does that work?
Well, that's actually the beauty of the consulting partners that we partner with is we try not really. I mean, we try to understand what the problems are, but the consulting partner is really the expert. They're the SME, the subject matter expert that knows how that industry works. They're relaying to us what needs to get built and what problems need to be solved. So that way we don't have to kind of dig into all of the nuanced details of all these different vertical industry verticals. It allows us to focus in on the thing that we really need to be good at, which is how does AI work? And if you've tried to keep up with AI, you realize it's impossible.
Right.
Um, it changes so fast, so quickly. I mean, the stuff we're doing today was literally didn't exist 2 weeks ago. Like, it's moving that fast. And so it's a full time job for our team just to keep up to speed on what's going on in AI. And that's where we need to put our focus. Like, when it comes down to it, that is our vertical. That is our expertise, which is why we partner with these consultants to be experts in their business so that we can help them leverage the latest and greatest so they can bring the solutions that they probably wouldn't be able to get to for years if they didn't have someone like us on their team. So,
Right. Yeah. So partnering with all these businesses and their consultants, that's a very helpful way to get to know the business and to really focus in on what you need to focus on, so that way you can help them in the best way that you can. And so, looking at just any kind of business in general, as you're doing this consulting and as you're implementing AI with a new business or a new system, what kind of what does it look like with the before AI automation and before you come in versus how things are looking afterwards? Because you say like we want people to be able to make high impact in their business. So what does that impact look like? What does it look like before and after?
Yeah. Here's an interesting thing that happens with this. And it's one of the things that AI has brought about that's different than normal than kind of past forms of automation. Because automation has been around forever, right? Like as soon as software was a thing, we started to figure out how to automate. Like, and that's going back to like the 50s. So automation isn't a new thing, but what AI brings in is sort of uh, it forces you to rethink. So what a lot of companies try and do is they try and look at the way that a human's been running a process or a workflow in their business, and they pick pieces or tasks that the human's doing, and they say, oh, let's go in and plug in AI automation to do these specific tasks. And what they find out is it doesn't really make an impact.
Hmm,
Um, because here's the analogy that I give. If I handed you a shovel and I said, I need you to go into my backyard and plan out with this shovel how you're going to dig a swimming pool for me, right? There's a certain set of tasks you're going to have to think about. You've got a shovel. That's the tool you're going to do. You're going to make a plan for that. If on the day of execution, you're about to go execute on this and start digging a pool in my backyard, and you show up with your shovel, and I show up with a backhoe, what are you going to do? You're going to throw out your plan.
right.
Like you've got a much like no one wants to sit and shovel when you got a backhoe that could do it for you in probably a third of the time. Um, and that's what's going on with AI. Is a lot of companies are coming in and they're like, well, here's the way we've always done it. And I'm like, yeah, but I'm showing up with a backhoe. Like it's a different ball game. You kind of need to throw that out and rethink how you do work. And that is terrifying. That scares a lot of people. So when we talk about this impact that happens, it's often because what we've done is we've said, yeah, here's the way you've always done it, and there's a reason why you've always done it that way, but those reasons are all gone. So
Right.
we got to rethink it now, and that's going to completely change the way you approach your problems. And that kind of transformation, that's significant. And that does start freeing you up to do different things. Sometimes it's really simple. Like, let's take my wife. So Kendra is the president of the company, and she does a lot of our client account management stuff. So every Friday, she sends out an email that is detailed about all the stuff that we've done for a client over the last week. Well, she's got to hit conversations that happen in Slack. She's got to look at our project management tool. She's got to look at our meeting notes. She's got to look at our financial systems. Like she has probably 7 or 8 different systems that she has to go into and look at in order to do this. So she had a very specific job. Well, with AI, we were able to basically blow all of that up. Instead of following the process she did it, we let AI start to figure out how to accomplish that goal on its own. And next thing you know, what used to take her 45 minutes to do per client is now taking her 2 to 3. That was a whole different way of thinking. And along the way, she's now having conversations with the AI, asking it to remember things that she never would have done before.
Right.
Um, so it just changes the way you approach work.
Yeah. So you kind of took this in a direction that I kind of wanted to go into next. You said that, a lot of people are scared about, rethinking how systems are working. And so how do you kind of get over that hurdle and convince people that, hey, automation is a good way to go with your company so you can do more effective work?
Yeah. So let's talk about the fear piece. Tangent side story. So I've got a 20-year-old son, but when he was little, he was a little bit afraid of dogs, and so big dogs kind of scared him, a little bit leery of them. How do you get a young boy over the fear of dogs? It's like, well, you sit him down with a bunch of puppies and you let him play and understand and enjoy the interaction. Now he begs me for a dog every day of the week. like he's not afraid of them anymore because he understands the love and the playfulness and the fun that comes along with it. But we de-risked the situation to allow him to engage in a safe way, and you have to do the same thing with AI. So you've got to make it accessible and fun, and let people experiment with it in a way that gives them an opportunity to just see the crazy stuff that it's able to do. I talk about when I go into a business, I talk about we're looking for that first wow moment where you just asked or did something with AI and it came back with something that completely blew your mind. And you were like, man, that would have taken me a whole day. And it pulled it off in like 15 minutes. Are you kidding me? Like, all of a sudden, your creativity goes wild. Um, and then you get to a place where you're like, I don't want to handwrite that Excel file. I want AI to do it for me because it's a lot more efficient and you start to understand the value. Your fear goes away because you've broken down the barriers. And so that's where you have to start with your team is just get them comfortable and give them fun projects to play with so that it's not scary.
Right. Yeah, definitely. Because there's a lot of people who are even scared to jump into AI because they're just like, oh, that's a new technology and I don't know how it works at all. So how do you kind of set up times for new businesses to like play with AI and get them familiar with it if they're not technical people or they don't really know how to prompt AI or anything like that?
Yeah. So I do a little talk. It's one of my favorite talks I do where I break down how AI works for the layperson. Because the title of the talk is it's not magic, it's math. And so I show how the math is working. And it's got fun little animations that help them get in their mind what's really going on here. Um, I think it was Arthur C. Clarke that said any sufficiently advanced technology is indistinguishable from magic, and that's how most people think about this.
Right.
Is like it's advanced enough that I don't know what it's doing, so therefore it feels like magic. But if I break that down and I explain to them, here's actually what's going on and how it's getting there, it's like, oh, yeah, it's just math. It's probability. Okay, I get that, and then they can start to play with it. There is some training that goes along. I don't want to pretend that AI is just talking in English or in natural language like a lot of people are. There's some nuance to it. You got to learn a little bit of the tweaks on how to talk to it, but it's also not learning how to program in C.
Right.
Um, so there is a little bit of a learning curve, but it is not as extreme as what we had even 5 years ago.
Hmm.
So
Yeah. That's great. Well, kind of taking a look, I guess, more deeper into like the fears, but more specifically the risks with AI automation. I mean, you mentioned before that upwards of like 80 to 90% of companies that you are using AI are failing. So how do you like evaluate the risk of an AI automation and how do you protect against these risks so that the company doesn't fail?
yeah, so there's two sides to risk. There's the is my company data safe cybersecurity side of risk, um, and that's a different conversation. I'm going to hold off to the side. Then there's the risk of I'm about to do a project and I don't really know what's the outcome's going to be, and is there actual value here? And to what you were talking about, like a project might fail. So how do we mitigate that risk? So let's talk about how we approach that one. We break every project down into three areas. We say, get it working right, get it working effectively.
Right.
So, first off, is get it working. Why do we do that? What we're trying to do is connect to all the systems that AI needs to talk to and prove that AI can talk to them.
Hmm.
We're not trying to do worry about all the little nuance. We're not trying to get all the little details right. We're just saying, can we talk to all the systems so that we know that it works? If the answer to that at all is no, then get out now while you haven't spent a lot of money.
Right.
So let's de-risk. You can get out quick. If the answer is, hey, you know what? We actually can talk to everything. This looks good. Then we move into the next phase, which is get it working right. Um, and get it working right is now all the nuance, all the little details that need to happen to get the system all in place. Now, here's what I'm not doing there though. I'm not trying to token maximize. I'm not trying to make it work fast. I'm not worrying about like optimizing the system. I'm worried about, does it do the work the way the business needs the work done?
Right.
And we work to get to that point. And that's literally like we create yes, no statements that are like, yes, it does it, no, it doesn't. And we keep going until everything is a yes. At that point, we say it's good. Then we move into our last phase. So at the end of the get it working right, we'll take a quick little measurement and be like, hey, it costs X number of tokens and took this long to run. We're now going to spend the get it working efficiently portion of just trying to make it that use less tokens and run faster. And that sort of de-risks that process of getting a project out the door effectively.
Right. That's a really effective strategy. And just, breaking it down into steps and uh, you know, de-risking at different steps. So that's really creative. Um, so I mean, there are plenty of places where you can use AI for automation in a business, but are there any areas or have you run into any cases where maybe AI automation just wasn't the case and you kind of stepped into that first step and then you got out of there?
Yeah, so I still think business is done with people. And so as soon as you start getting into a world where you're trying to replace the relationship with artificial intelligence, I think you start to get risky. And that's actually an area that we don't do a lot of work on. So if you're trying to, um, there are some companies out there that are trying to basically create all AI sales folk.
Mm,
We're not going there. It's just not us. That's not who we are. That's not our mission. Our mission is to help people do meaningful, impactful work. So as soon as you start getting into that place where AI is trying to replicate or replace the human to human contact, that's where we start to get a little bit leery. Now, that doesn't mean that there aren't steps in the process that right now have to be done human to human that the AI could do because humans don't actually need to be involved. That's a different story for me. But if it's trying to replicate a relationship like in sales, that's a naturally human conversation. Uh, Therapy. I don't trust the AI therapists.
oh yeah. I've
So,
experimented with that a little bit myself. I actually had to write a paper about it in school.
yeah,
I was not a fan. Don't really trust
no.
it.
No.
But
AI is literally trained on positive reinforcement. So it's trained to tell you yes, to tell you what you want to hear. Like,
right,
so it's just there's that level of human connectivity that I don't think AI should be replacing. Though we're not going to be able to help AI impacting it. Um,
right.
so
Yeah, so that kind of goes into kind of the next area that I wanted to talk about is, we want to use AI to help us with more impactful work, and one of the things that can make a really big impact on things is critical thinking. So how can we use AI to aid us in critical thinking?
yeah, so I do this all the time. It's one of my kind of go-tos for AI. And I've built a whole system of a whole set of agents that I interact with on a regular basis in our platform that is designed to basically challenge my thinking from multiple different levels. Uh, it's one of my favorite things to do because what I can do is I have one AI assistant that's like I set it up to be a strategy assistant. So it knows my frameworks I use for strategy analysis. I've got another one that I've set up to just be a cranky old finance guy that has like I literally have said that in it. It's like you're a cranky old finance guy that does not like creativity. And I want you to push back on everything I bring up. And so I'll create these different personas and then I will interact with them in a way that I am forcing it to push on my ideas from a critical thinking standpoint so that I can come with good ideas to my team, having already addressed and hardened them a little bit. Um, so that way it's not just I'm a visionary. I enjoy speaking. I kind of a futuristic type of person. So I will come in being like, we're all going to be running rosy robots in our house in the next 5 years, and we all should be planning for it now. And my team's like, whoa, dude, like they can't even build them yet. Like,
Right.
so I can come in before that so that I'm not selling something way out there and my team is actually able to engage on what is an effective manner. But AI is really good at that. Um, there's this concept of call in prompting where you give it a persona.
Hmm.
It's become pretty well known now. And so by starting off and saying something like, "You're a stodgy old finance dude and sits on my board who doesn't like any creative ideas," you just anchored AI into a way of thinking that it's now going to push back on you.
Right.
And so using that persona liberally really does help your critical thinking if you engage it that way.
Hmm.
Um, Too many people engage AI just as Google. Um, they ask it a dumb question like, "Hey, what trail should I hike in Yosemite?" And it gives you answers,
Right.
um, but they might not actually be critically thought out answers. And it's really kind of only using 1% of what AI is actually designed for.
Right. Yeah. AI can do a lot of things that, we're just not aware of yet. And so kind of as we're wrapping up this episode, what is kind of one big key takeaway that you kind of want people to take away from this conversation?
Don't be afraid of it. Go push on it, play with it. Um, I've heard a lot of people, a lot of industries say question whether or not we should be using AI, or like I've heard in the music industry like, hey, it's disrupting creativity. It's not creative. Should we even be using it? I've heard on the writing side, should we even be using it? Frankly, that's not a question that's worth asking anymore because the genie's out of the bottle.
Right.
You're not putting it back. And so the appropriate response at this point is we know it's a thing. We know it's only going to get smarter. We need to know how to use it effectively. So in order to be good at something, you have to first be bad at something.
Hmm.
So pick it up, start playing with it. Don't be afraid of it because it's not going away. And it's only going to become more and more ingrained in the way we work and the way we do life. So that's kind of where I'm at with it. It doesn't have to be scary and it doesn't have to be evil. It can actually be a really powerful tool, both for helping humanity and raising humanity, as well as task oriented and things along those lines.
Yeah, that's great. Well, thank you so much for sharing and, getting us, allowing us to get to know you a little bit better and a little bit about how you work. And thank you for that insight that you've shared. And I've really enjoyed having this conversation with you. Thank you so
Hey,
much.
thanks so much. I appreciate it. It was fun times.